I'm Christine Landis. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is an upload of a Zoom art class I did with one of my local library branches. I'm doing a series of classes with them, and this particular lesson is we're going to be learning how to draw a sailboat with a man in it on the water. And it's, like I said, one of a series. The next class after this one will be doing a watercolor painting version of this sailboat that we're drawing today. And if you have any interest in hooking up with them and joining us for those live classes via Zoom, I'll put a link in the description below for where you can click on that link and register for the Zoom classes, and they will send you a link to join the class at the appropriate date and time. So there will be information about that in the comments and descriptions section below. Meanwhile, let's join that class already in progress. Back over to Zoom. Okay, can you see these lines on here?
Not now, you have it. Oh, there.
Not very well?
Yeah, right there.
Let me change my view to speaker view so I'm seeing what you're seeing, except that's not right. That's showing me a big green letter T. Let's get back over here.
That's Terry Weinstein. Terry, please mute yourself.
She is muted. I don't know why, but let's see if I can pin this one. There, I pinned myself. Okay. And enlarging that so I see what you see. That is not great. And putting it closer. Oh, there. Well, yeah. Okay. If I tilt it just right, maybe you can see the lines.
That's pretty good, Christine.
Okay, so that is, where did it go? That's a line drawing. There, okay. Line drawing. This one, which is a different picture, but I've got it right here handy. This one has a lot of shading. This is more of a value study, but this one I've used the pencil to put a lot of shading in there, and that's great for when we're practicing drawing. I was going to also show you, you can use the method that I'm going to show you today to draw all kinds of different boats. You don't have to strictly draw, this is so weird having to go backwards and tilt the wrong way. You don't have to strictly draw just the boat that I'm showing you today. You can use the same method. This is the boat we're drawing today. But this is, you can see this is not a line drawing. A line drawing is what you want on your watercolor paper. This one right here is where I've just went ahead and put shading in and everything with the pencil to create where I'm going to have my dark values and light values and stuff like that. And we'll need to know that for next week or whenever the next class is when we're going to paint. So we're going to work a lot on this today. And the reasoning why is because we're going to need to know where our dark paint's going to go, and we're going to need to know where we're going to need to leave it white. We need to know that before we start painting. If we don't, then we run into trouble because you can't paint a white sail over top of a blue sky in watercolor. It doesn't work that way because you cannot paint light color over dark color in watercolor. So I'm going to put a couple of lines here on my paper. Let me get a darker pencil. That way you'll for sure be able to see the lines. Yeah, okay, got an HB here. It's a nice soft lead. Okay, when you're going to draw your boat, when you're looking at your picture, say this is where my frame of my picture is going to be. It's going to be inside of, get out of the way. It's going to be inside of this box. Now, I want my boat to be right about right here. So I'm going to just put a couple of lines here. That's where this boat needs to be. And I just realized I'm missing a page. I wanted to show you something. Oh, well, I'll just do it again on here. This is kind of about the size of the boat and the placement of the boat. But we don't want to just draw a front end and a back end on here because it won't be in perspective. It won't look correct. It'll it won't look, well, you can see this. I'm going to draw it for you. If we just put a boat in here, back end, front end, and a sail. That's it's not as bad as as it should have been. But this doesn't show you the three-dimensional appearance that you're going to get when you have a drawing like this, where you can see a little bit into the boat, and the angles on this one are just more correct. And the way we're going to get that is we're going to use a figure 8 on its side. And I just saw a question popped up from Suzanne asking if it's landscape or portrait orientation. I've got a square here. I just like a square. The boat is more up and down. You decide how you want it. Do you want to have more of the water showing, or do you want to have more of the sky and like this? So pick one, do it. It doesn't, for this drawing, it does not matter. But for right here, we're looking at this boat, and I think you can see this is where the left side of the back of the boat is, and it's more than a third or a quarter. I'm going to have to put this one where I can see it, because I can't really, to have this angled right, I can't see it good. It's almost halfway over. It's not quite, but it's almost halfway over. It's almost right in the middle. That is because of the angle that the boat is sitting at. We're not seeing it. I guess what I was trying to show you with this one is normally if you're looking at a boat like that, you're not going to see it. If you're looking at it straight on, you're going to see something that looks like this. And the back of the boat is over here where you can't see it. So this boat is kind of going away from us at an angle. And so you want to determine about how far that over that is, and it's almost halfway in this section here. So, and by the way, you don't need to be drawing this part. I'm just explaining some stuff to you, and then we'll get going on you follow me along with the drawing. But we're gonna put a figure 8 in here, and we want to keep it near the top. It's going to be laid over on its side, and it's going to be narrow. So, and the center of it is going to be right here where we just marked that line. So make your figure 8 like that. This should have come way over here. That's how we're going to position this boat started. Because I find that putting the first marks on are kind of the scary point. So the way we get past that is to draw this figure 8 on there. So I think it'll be easiest just to erase all of this. And I'm going to start with the stuff for you to draw. Okay, so you can skip drawing the lines that I drew like that. You can skip that part if you want to. Just go to the part where you're drawing your figure 8 positioned where you want it. But if you do find it easier to put these other lines in, like I told you, then go ahead and do it. You just look at where your boat is going to be, and you say, I want my boat to be sitting right here. Somewhere in here, in between those lines, that's where my boat's going to be sitting. So you start with that, and then you figure out how far over, nearly halfway, and then make that figure 8 on there and keep it right up near the top line there. Come all the way out to where you want the front end of your boat to be, and then back over here like that. And then we're going to turn that into to the top edge of the boat here. And the first part we want to do is tweak the front end. I want mine to be a little bit neater, a little bit more pointy, so I did it just like that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a line that comes right down here and goes back over this way, and draw the line that represents that first panel on this boat. This is a dory skiff, and it's cat rigged because of the way the sail is, if you like to know those things. So for this skiff, we're going to just come down here. Now I will tell you also, take note of the fact that this boat is going away from you at an angle. This is not the front end right here. The front end is more over here. So the front end is going to be right up more in that area. So that'll just help you in making your drawing as accurate as possible if you know that. So you make a little line coming down here about the width of however wide that should be. And as you can see, there's kind of really 3 in there. So you want to divide your space up accordingly. And then just curve that right back and follow the angle of that line. And I've already messed it up because I'm drawing up here instead of on the table. You want to follow the angle of, or the curve of this figure 8 that we drew. So parallel that right around there, back over to that line coming down where the corner is. And you stop right there, and then you draw from this part. You draw, and I'm going to extend mine back a little bit further. I think I will like the look of it a little better. To right here, and then I'm making a straight line coming right down to that. And I'm hoping that you can see, I can see it on my screen, so I hope you can see it well. Then we're going to go back over here to the front end again and put another line coming down, but go in a little bit. It's not going to be straight in lines, so go in a little tiny bit. If you can see what I'm talking about, let's see if I might need to zoom in again to show you exactly what I'm talking about there. Okay, hopefully that looks zoomed in. Okay, so I didn't start right at the front. I start back in a little bit, and then I curve that right around again, following that angle or curve again, all the way back over to here, and then draw that line straight down again. Then you're going to do that one more time, but if you look on the reference photo, you can see that now we start to go angled back up underneath the boat. So we're going to make a line right here that angles over just a little bit. I might have angled mine a little too much. You don't want to go so much that you don't have the ability to make another one. So angle it. Maybe that might be 45 degrees. If you know, like if you were looking at a map and you were looking at here's north and here's south and here's east, and here would be southeast. Come back in a little bit from southeast and angle it right about there. And then that line is going to go again following that curve, that same curve, but go down to about here because that's where your water line is. So you don't see all of it. So you're going to go down to there, and then over here, same thing. And then you just have to make this last line really angled over underneath the boat. We don't see very much of that at all, and what we do see is really dark. It's the same color as the water. All right, now just clean that up a little bit. And we're going to make lines over here to match these. So out here in the edge of the figure 8, make a straight line down that comes about down to this far, close to that. And then make a line that angles in, and then make that line angle the whole rest of the way in. And then this, remember, is your water line. Now, if you'll take your eraser and erase this part of the figure 8 out of there, you can start to see that we've got a boat shape taken taking shape here. I mean, the boat is taking shape. That's what I mean to say. I'm going to just put this line in here looking like water, so that makes more sense to you. And then we don't need this line up here anymore, because the top edge of the boat, this would actually curve around, and the front end of the boat is over there, and then this side of the far side of the boat, the line just comes right along back here, and you don't even need to really continue it in there, because we're going to have a man sitting in this boat. So just erase some of this stuff here. And there's a nice boat sitting there in the water. Now we've got a lot more stuff to add to it, but we've already actually got a boat just that easily. I am going to pause for something to drink, and I want to know if there's anybody has any questions at this point. So clicking over
Not so far. Looks like we're doing good. Hey, Mercedes, if you can hear me, if you'll put your email in the chat again to me or to Julie, Julie will send you the picture.
Okay. Let's see. I'm going to click over and double check if my desktop camera is still froze up. It still is. I'm going to unplug it, because maybe if I leave it unplugged for a little while, back in a minute. Except I just realized that unplugs something I don't want unplugged. I have way too many wires all over the place here. There. Okay. That camera is unplugged. And this is, I think I'm back on the right screen. Yep. Okay. So next thing, I want to go ahead and put in the mast, the upright section right here, but I'm not going to put the sail in until I first get the guy drawn into the boat. But to figure out how to get this mast in position, you will take your pencil, and let's see, this one's probably the right length right here, and just put it on the reference picture. You don't have to put it on the reference picture. I'm showing you this part, but you'll use your pencil on your own drawing in just a second. So I put it at the front end of the boat, and we can see the back end of the boat is a little bit bigger than the length of this pencil. Maybe your pencil is a better match. Maybe I have a pencil that's a better match. Or you can use a ruler. So we would say, okay, the boat is that length. Now, comparing that to the height of the mast, you can see the mast is actually just a little bit taller than the width of the boat. So this measurement is a little bit shorter than this measurement. So what that tells me is that however long my boat is over here, I need my mast to be that tall plus a little bit. So I'm going to just put a mark right up there. That's about where my mast needs to, oh, you can't see it, can you? All right, I'm going to draw it really dark so you can hopefully see it. Okay, that's about how tall my mast needs to be. Now, if you were to just eyeball this and look at this, you can see that's tall, but you might not really get how tall it is just looking at this and trying to guess where it should be. So what I just showed you is the really easy way to determine how tall should you make that mast. Now you'll also notice it's not exactly straight up and down, it's angled just a little bit. So we want to make it angled a little bit. And as far as where to put it, look at where it is in relation to this edge right here and the front of your boat. Is it right in the middle? It's a little tiny bit to the closer to the front end of the boat than it's not perfectly centered between there. So looking right where these are, and here's the center, and go a little bit farther up. This is about where you want to position the mast. That's how you determine where to put that. You're looking at relationships between, the different parts of what you're drawing and compare those to the ones on your boat. So like it would not do you any good to measure how long this is and then measure over here. You're not trying to, usually not trying to make an exact same size duplicate. And if you've already got some stuff drawn and you measure the height of the mast and just put that measurement over here, you haven't measured in relation to the length of the boat. Excuse me. So hopefully I'm explaining this good to you. What matters on determining the height of your mast is how long is the length of the boat that you drew. And you want to make that the same proportions here in your drawing as over here. So not the same measurement, but yes, the same proportion. So that's why I measured the length of this boat, and then a little bit higher up, that's how high my mast is going to go. And it's starting here, and I'm going to just draw a line, and I'm not going to make it perfectly straight. I'm going to make it angled a little. And there's my mast. Now, I'm going to erase this because that's bothering me. Okay. Now it comes all the way down in the boat there. And this boat, I think he's got another oar laying across there, and we're not going to do that. We're going to simplify it a bit and just put something else inside the front end of the boat here. It's going to be like one of those plank seats, so maybe someone could sit right in the front end of this boat. So we're going to just make a straight line across there, make it come all the way to this line, because this is this side, the close side of the boat, and so you can't see exactly where this seat hits that inside on that side. But on the other side, you don't want to make it go all the way over to the edge, because then you would be drawing a slanted seat that goes off the top edge of the other side of the boat. What you want to do instead is just draw it a little ways over there, and you figure that's about where it would hit the side of the boat over there. And make it go back this way and put another one on there. And then we've got a little seat inside the boat. Now, we've got that in place, and that helps us know where to put the man who's sitting in the boat. So again, we're going to look back at the reference photo, and you're going to look where he is in relation to this part of the boat right here, the back corner. His back is a little bit on that side of it, and most of him is over here on this side. So draw a rectangle right there, or actually just draw kind of like a boxy shape. It's not necessarily, oh, I forgot to draw dark so you can see. There. Yeah, you can see that. Okay, it's kind of a boxy shape, and then we're going to go ahead and put shoulders on the top of it. We're just at the top line, instead of making it a straight line, just put a kind of a curve up there. That's going to represent the shoulders. So this is the bulk of the man, that's his shoulders. And then he needs a head, so we're going to draw a circle on top there. And in our reference photo, he doesn't have a whole lot of neck showing, so you don't need to put a neck on there. Just go ahead and put a circle right on the top of there, because he's maybe kind of hunched down into to himself. You can see he's wearing a jacket and a hat, and he's got a hoodie on his jacket. So maybe it's windy and he's cold, so he's a little hunched down in. So you don't need a neck. Now, let's let's see here. Let's do this arm first. This arm is, we don't really see very much of it. It's just kind of down behind him there. And it goes all the way down from, if you look at your own arm from your shoulder, let me get in the camera here, from your shoulder down to your elbow. If you take notice of that, you'll see your elbow comes all the way down to your waist. So you need that line to come almost all the way down there to the vicinity of where his waist might be. And then just make a little bump and then bump it right back out, because he's got a jacket on there. And if you don't like the look of it, which I don't like the look of this one, I'm going to just edit it a little tiny bit, make that bump in a little bit higher. I like the look of that better. And what that means now, we don't need this line, and we don't need the line that's the other part of the boat over there. Let me point with the pencil. That line that's the other side of the boat, now the man is in between us and that side of the boat. So we want to erase that line. And erase that straight up line right there. Erase where the curved line went out a little further than we need it to. So we're just tweaking the positioning of things a little bit here. Now, we want to also, he's wearing a hat, so we're going to draw a line kind of halfway down that circle. That is the bottom edge of his hat. And then I want you to extend it out a little bit in front of the circle. Again, I hope you can see that good. And then right below there, he's wearing sunglasses. And that's going to really simplify our drawing if we just go ahead and put sunglasses on this guy. But rather than try to draw sunglasses, all you need to do is put a straight line down, very short little line, right below the lines we drew for his cap. Just a straight up and down short line. And we're going to be able to put another line in there that's like the earpiece. We're going to turn that into to like a side view. So you're only going to see, oops, I forget I'm not in the camera. You're only going to see a line here and then a little bit of a line here. You're not going to need to see actual sunglasses. Just these two little lines will do the trick really good. Now, let's put the little thing in the back of the ball cap where the hair shows through, and then just put a little bit of a line. Let's make this line. Actually, first let's put his hoodie. Going up from here over to that side, and then up into the hair area, put something there and make a bumpy line. That's now his hoodie. Then you can make his hair come down there, and you can make this hair go up, maybe leave a little bump for where there might be an ear. That's all the definition you need there. Once we put paint on that or color it with colored pencils or anything, it gives the exact appearance that we need. And because this man is a little bit far away, we don't see a whole lot of details. If you put too much details, it messes up the depth perception in your piece. Now, let's put some of these details in the back end of this boat. There's something that I don't know what it's for, but it's there, so I'm going to draw it. There's some openings in the back of the boat right here and right here. And then there's a big one in the middle, and the easiest way to do that is to just draw that top edge and then make some kind of curved lines come in here from either side and connect them on the bottom. Now you've got the openings drawn in the bottom of your boat. And that will allow us then to start positioning things like his other arm, the oar, his leg right there. And let's go ahead and put this knee that's poking up there. We need just kind of a triangle sticking up right in there somewhere and back down. That's his leg. Actually, his leg is, I made mine have too much of an angle. I'm going to erase that and make it go more straight down. Because he probably has long legs and they're a little cramped in the back of that boat. I'm guessing that. I'm also thinking I made mine too tall. I don't normally draw at this angle. I wish my other camera was working. I'm going to give it a check here in a second. There, that's better. I like the look of that, which you can't hardly see. Draw it harder there. Can you see that one? Yeah, you can see that a little better. So that's the angle, and you can even put a little line right down inside there where you can see it comes down his leg, the front edge of his leg. You can see it in that opening in the boat. And I believe in the reference photo, yeah, in the reference photo, you can see the same thing. So if you've got a copy of the reference photo, look at that and you'll see where his knee goes up there and then the front of his leg comes down inside that section there. And we're going to use that to help us position his arm and the oar to be at a, we want those to be at a believable angle. And the easy way to do that is to look on the reference photo from where the top of his shoulder is right there. Notice how it comes down here, dips a little, but it's very similar or very close to a straight line. That oar is almost an extension of his arm. So we're going to only need to adjust a little tiny bit. So what you want to do is you want to have a line that comes from his shoulder up here and comes down, passes just behind that top corner of the boat there and comes out the other side. So looking at how that would be, you can use your pencil to figure out where this is going to go and make a little dot right over in here. That's your target where you're going to. But also you want this to look like an arm in a jacket, so you don't want it to be a perfectly straight line. So make it a little bit of some bumps in it, and then it needs to come right down past his knee, and then put the end of the sleeve on there, and then you can put that oar coming right straight down there, and you can see that little bit of it in behind that inside that opening in the boat, and then just continue right straight over to your target dot that you drew. And then what we're going to want to do, that's the top edge of the oar, so I'm going to go back in and put the bottom edge in. And when I get over here, I'm going to just dip it down a little so it goes down into the water a little bit. And then over here, the oar has a curve on it, so we're going to put a little curve right there. And then we're going to make that go right over into the water. Now the water line here is down right here because there's water on the other side of the boat. So we've got a line here where that oar is disappearing into the water. Now we're going to bring that line right back up here, and you're going to just put a little bit of a indication of that his hand is wrapped around that oar, because it's you just see like this side. You only see this side of his hand, and it's wrapped around the oar. That's I don't have a dowel rod or anything to show you, but this is what I'm talking about. You don't see a whole lot of there. Okay, you see just this is where the sleeve is, and you see just this little bit of the hand. So you don't need to draw a whole hand right there. You just need to put something that resembles, and you'll put the skin tone on there, and that will help give the illusion that that's the hand holding the oar right there. And then we're going to come back up in here on the opposite above the knee, and we're going to just put the rest of that sleeve in there. And then it comes down to the front of his jacket, and you just make that a little bit bumpy because it's not going to be a smooth line with the front of your jacket when you're sitting hunched into a boat like that. And then we're ready to take the eraser again and erase some of these excess lines. Erase a little bit of the excess out of the hoodie area. And I'm going to erase that line out of the inside of the oar, because that wouldn't be there. Now we've got the guy in position in the boat, and we're ready to put the sail on. So I'm going to stop again and say, does anybody have any questions? And meanwhile, I'm going to plug my camera back in and see if I get my desktop camera functional again.
Everybody's looking good so far, Christine, and you should see all those heads down hard at work.
I wish I could see them. I missed that part.
It's okay, I've been taking pictures.
Oh, good. Okay. All right. I plugged my other camera in. Let me bop over to my other program and see if it's back and if it's working. It's still frozen up. I don't understand that at all. One more quick check. It's not frozen anymore. I don't know what I just did, but I fixed it. So, there, can you see my desktop and my hand moving?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I'm gonna see if that works for a little while. Put that over here, because I want to show you a few more things, and I feel like you can't see as good as I'd like you to be able to see. So I'm going to put this over here and show you what we just did is we drew this line right here, and then we put that little bit of a hand in there, and now that my desktop camera is working, I think I can switch you to the better zoom in. Where in the heck is the mouse? There it is. Can zoom in a little better. There. If I can find the mouse again. There we go. Okay. So what I was trying to show you is you don't have to draw a whole hand right there, and you don't want a straight line there. You want it a little bit bumpy so it looks like his sleeve. And then this triangle that we drew in there, that begins to be his leg. And this is the hoodie area. And when you put the shading and the right color and stuff in, then it really, it pops. You can really begin to see it's looking real. And this is where I was telling you, let's see if I can show you right here. See this little bitty line? Let's see if I can get it closer and let you really, really see. This, I put this little bitty line sticking out forward of the circle that was his head, and then we put a line across the middle, and I extended it a little. That's going to turn into the bill of his cap. And that little bitty tiny straight line down there, once I make this be like hair, and it comes up kind of like that, and that's the bill of his cap. And this is his hair. And then you just put a line over here like this, and it's a man wearing sunglasses. And I didn't really have to do a whole lot to it. Maybe I should overemphasize it just a little so that it shows better on the camera. But see what I mean about that? We don't have to put a whole lot of more detail on that face because he's looking away from us. He's not looking at us, he's looking away, so we don't need a whole lot of extra detail. And if we put too much, it detracts from what I want you to see. I thought maybe I had some more samples to show you, but I don't know where I've put them. Nope, not there. So this is the best one. But anyways, let's see. So now we're going. Oh, and this is where I put this board in on the front side of the mast here. And I believe in this drawing, well, I didn't put one in right there. I know I've got a whole bunch of drawings where I put that in there. I'll just show you. Here's a sample of next class. This is what it'll look like once we get it painted, and that seat up in the front there is what I was showing you when I was showing you to draw. I'm going to move this, since it's working on it, I'm going to move it over onto my desktop so I can show you. And I guess I do need to zoom back out. Oh, maybe not. There, you can see that good. Check back over to my Zoom screen so I can make sure I'm showing you what I think I'm showing you. Yeah, okay. Let's see. Let's go ahead and put the rest of the sail on. I don't have the right screen with, oh, I know what I've got done wrong. I don't have the screen with the reference photo in it. So let me switch back to that one, because I think you'll be able to see good enough on this one. And then I don't have to keep the reference photo in the picture. So for putting the sail on, first we've got that seat over there in place, and that's maybe the part of the wall on the other side of the boat, which we're going to paint that in such a way that it'll be in shadow. Let me just color it in and you'll see what I'm talking about. Inside the boat will be in a lot of shadow like this. So when you have that little bit showing with the lighter color on it, that's really going to look like a little seat right up there, without you having to do a whole lot of work at all. So showing you how to figure out, this is called the boom. We have to add the boom, and we have to add whatever that is. I don't know what that one's called, unfortunately. But anyway, we're going to measure those the same way we did and determine how long to make those the same way we did measuring how tall to make the mast. You can see that the boat is a little bit longer than my pencil. So I put that over here and I get a similar measurement. It's about the same. So I want that line to be pretty close to the same as this line. And remember the mast, this mast is actually more than 1.5 times the length of that. So we want a line that is this long, you know, from here to here, which is 1 pinky finger more than my pencil in this example. And it's going to need to go, if you look in the reference photo, as far as positioning it, you want it to cross the mast. You want it to come in on this side below his shoulder and come out over here above the shoulder. And it comes out this far, pretty much in the line even with the back end of the boat. So those are our parameters that we're going to draw in, and we're going to make a little note of this line coming up right up through here. I'm going to just draw it so you can see it. So we've got an imaginary line up through there, and then we've got he's got to start over on this, on the left side of the mast, so you know, towards the front of the boat. It starts over here. It has to pass below the shoulder on this side, above the shoulder on this side, and hit that line and be about the length of the plus 1 pinky finger. That's you can all of those things to help you determine the placement of this line. And I'm just going to put it from right here, right up through that way, coming out over here, up to there, that line positioned. I'm going to get rid of my placement guide, and I'm going to make this line is much more narrow than the mast. So I'm going to just put a little bit of an extra line there just to show that it's a pole. I didn't do that on the mast yet, so I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Put another line coming right up beside there to show a pole, not just a straight line sticking up. And it appears to me to get a little bit more narrow near the top. It probably doesn't in real life, but I think the way we see it in perspective, it's going to appear to get a little more narrow. So it's going to make it wide at the bottom, narrow at the top. And then we need to position this line. And this is a pole that goes, if you can see it, where's my little ruler? If you could see through this sail, you would see that that's actually a pole back behind there, just another one of those kind of things. So it's in a straight line there. You just don't see the part that's behind the sail. So that will help you figure out how to position that line. And again, measuring how long this one is. That one is actually a little bit longer. So I want to make this line a little bit longer, and it on my reference, it starts a little bit above his head. So a little bit above his head, I'm going to make a line there that is my guide. Again, that's just, I'm just putting that temporarily to show me, okay, that's where I want this pole to start. Then I want it to come out up above, it comes out up above the top of the mast. And how I drew my square, I've done it so that that part's going to be off the frame. It's going to look like this. I do that to myself all the time. I don't know why. I just do. So I'm going to cheat right now, and I'm going to extend that line up and extend that line up and put that over and erase this line and pretend like I never drew the top of my paper edge right there. And I don't know if that counts as artistic license or not, but I'm going to say it does. So get all that eraser dirt off of there. Put it back in the frame so you can see it. And I forgot to click back over to Zoom all go. So let me just get over there so I can make sure that I'm seeing. Okay, so now, so this line, what did I say? It's about, again, a pinky finger longer. So I need it to be about that long. It's going to start right there, close to the pole, and go up and come out the top somewhere up here. So those are my target lines. I've got to start down here somewhere, come to up here somewhere, and it needs to be 2 pinky fingers longer than my pencil. So I just work out what angle does this work at to hit where I want it to hit. And also you can look and see that straight up from the back of his head, that's where in the reference photo the line comes out up here. I think my hand was too much in the way. Let me try that again. That right there. And you can see the back of his head is there. That pole is up there. So laying this on here would tell me that my line needs to hit. Oh, I can't draw. I'm using my pencil for the angle. My line needs to hit somewhere along here, and it needs to be the right length. So I'm going to say that if that continues there, that hits right in the right spot. So I'm going to use that for my angle and just draw that right over here. And there's that line. Now I drew that light because this part isn't going to stay in the picture. But right now I want to go ahead and erase my guides so they don't confuse me. Erase that and erase that. And then I'm going to make this be another one of those poles. And I don't know what all of this business is on the end of it here. I have no idea what it is. I'm not a boat person, but I can see that there's some kind of a little globule of something there. So I'll make something that looks like that. Make it kind of come up there and then have a wider part on it. And make another little wider part. Just draw that right up through there. And then it disappears behind the mast and the sail. So then I don't need to draw that part. I just need this little tip end sticking out up here, which also has some kind of a rounded blob on the end of it. So that's what I'm going to draw. Then what I need to do is make a line that comes from the top, just nearly the top of the sail. Make a line that goes up to that point there. Then you'll notice the sail doesn't come all the way to the end of this line. So you make a little target spot back in a little bit from there and make a line that's like an easy, kind of curved, not perfectly straight line that comes from here, maybe in a little bit and back out a little because blowing that sail and swelling it up a little bit. And so that's good for that. Now we can erase this line in here because we don't need that. And this sail sticks out below, it hangs down a little, it's billowing, I guess would be the term. And you can see a little bit of it hanging down below that boom, so but not in here. So over in here, I'm just going to make that go like that, and then I'm going to bring this part down and let it kind of go back up. And there's the sail on there. Now there's some nice little tricks we can do to it if we want to continue drawing and make something more like this instead of our line drawing. I've got kind of a crook going on right here. Here's that other line drawing that I had. Oh, here it is over here. This one, this is more like what you will put on your watercolor paper because you don't want to do any of the shading on the watercolor paper. You're going to put all the color and create the form of your painting with your paint when we get to that part. See, I've got some dark paint right here because I could tell when I did my value study that it needs to be dark in here. It's dark right here, and this part's darker than this part. This is dark underneath the boat here. So when I paint it, I've got a road map to follow so that I can get the colors where they need to be so my painting comes out looking really good. And I don't personally think this looks like a photograph. I think this looks like a painting, and I like it better than the photograph. I'm trying to make a pretty painting. So that is why I do these kind of things, because they help me get to that right point. This becomes my roadmap. But again, you only want the line drawing, not even with the shading on the hair that I did there. You want as little of this lines on your paper as you can get away with. So like even these trees and things in the background here, I would not draw those on my watercolor paper because there's no set shape they need to be. You don't have to have this tree exactly that height and this one this high and back and forth. You don't need that. You can paint that on there easily with your paintbrush or put it in with your colored pencils or your pastels or whatever you're creating your final artwork with. You don't need that drawn on with pencil. So I would suggest, unless you really are nervous about it, don't even draw that part in. Just put the line drawing of the boat and the man in the boat onto your watercolor paper, and then it's ready to paint on. But use regular paper to just sit around and make things like this, because you can work out how dark this needs to be compared to the water. And you can see you need this to be a darker value. It needs to have a stronger color than the water. His jacket and his hair and all of these parts need to be equally dark, though not the same color. Where to put my painting? This hair is not the same color as this jacket. These trees are not the same color as the hair and the jacket, but they are the same value, if that's what I'm talking about on that. There's really good rich color there. And then we have a lot more watered down color in the sky and in places in the water where we want a lighter value, and then we didn't color it at all on the sail. So that is the educational part of this lesson. Now, does anybody have any questions about the drawing? We'll talk about the painting class next, but right now let's
You saw that question?
about the lead for next week.
Yeah.
Yeah. Basic colors. I mean, here's the painting. You need some blues, some greens, some yellows, some burnt sienna or something like that for the rich brown of the wood in the boat. And you know, you can make his hoodie whatever color you want. I made mine that color because I think the reference painting has it a bright blue. So I made mine a bright Florida blue. I have no idea if he's in Florida, if he's in the Everglades or what, but we can think he's. You just need just your basic colors, and that'll be easy. But does anybody have any questions pertaining to the drawing itself? Did I leave you somewhere in the dust because of my nervousness having to draw up here on the easel behind me?
Christine, Diane asked at one point, she was lost where to put the last line behind the sail. So,
Oh, okay.
Diane,
This line right here. Am I correct? That's it.
Diane, do you want to unmute and ask Christine?
Yeah, that's the line. I didn't know how you measured it or where you put it. I just asked you.
If you look at, again, refer back to your reference photo, you do the same kind of, let me find my ruler because that makes it easier. Actually, I'm going to use a pencil because we always have a pencil in our hand. So a pencil makes a really good way to judge what you're doing. So remember, we measured the length of the boat, and we used that. Then we measured the how tall is the mast. Well, this is where the boat comes to. The boat is this long. The mast is this much longer. So when we figured out on here, we go to measure. This is how long our boat is that we drew. So when we put the mast in, we need to go a little bit longer. So that's what I did, made the mast a little bit longer than this line. If you'll notice, the width of the length of the boat from the front to the back is pretty close. Let me show it to you on here. It's pretty close to the same as the measurement on this boom that we made. And I am going to switch over here because hopefully this will make it very clear. This is right about 4.5. It's 4 3/8 inches. If you put that on the boom here, it's the same. It's about 4 3/8 inches. Measuring this one, looks like it's 5 1/4. So this line should be a little than this line. So what you do then is you look at your boat and you measure how long this is. This is 4 inches. This is pretty close to 4 inches. Now this line is going to need to be a little longer than 4 inches, and I've got it at 4 3/4 inches. And so that's how long it is. Then we were looking at in the reference photo, it starts a little bit above his head, and it goes to somewhere kind of straight up from the back of his head. That's where it comes out up there. We can see that it's a little higher than the mast. So you would figure out a little spot a little bit above his head, and I made a line right here to mark my starting point. And then I looked and made a line right up from the back of his head. Somewhere along this line is where we need to draw a line that starts on this line, and it intersects somewhere along this line, and it needs to be a little longer than the 4.5 inches or the 4 inches excuse me that the length of the boat is. And all those inch measurements make it sound like we're doing math and make it, oh, but this might be hard. It's not hard. You don't need to know how many inches. Excuse me 1 second. The inches are far less important than just knowing, which you can do with your pencil. The length of the boat is that much. I'm going to show it to you on the reference again. The length of the boat is that much. The length of the boom is about the same. The length of the mast is longer than that. And the length of this other thing is longer than that. Now, looking at this mast, the mast is longer than my pencil. This other line is shorter than my pencil. So over here, this mast comes to here. So this line needs to be shorter than that. And I've made mine just a little bit shorter. And none of it needs to be perfectly exact because we're really not trying to duplicate this reference photo. We're not trying to create another photo. We're trying to make it a believable, pretty picture. That is realism. We're not really trying to do photorealism. I personally don't see the beauty in that. There's a lot of work in it, and you know, those artists that do create photorealism, they've really made an accomplishment because there's a ton of work in that. But that's, to me, not the most beautiful thing. So I'm not shooting for photorealistic. I'm just going for realistic and believable. And it doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be believable and look good. So for that reason, that's why I'm saying use your pencil and just say, oh, that's close, that's close, that's just right in the ballpark, good enough. And it looks believable and nice. And I'm just belaboring the point here so that I think that I'm trying to get you to understand how I got there without feeling like you've got to get it exactly perfect. You don't need it exactly perfect. This is just hopefully an easy way for you to gauge. Over here on the reference photo, this line is longer than this line. So, okay, let me see where it goes here and have it come out. It should land up somewhere along a line right about here. So I put that line there just as a guide. Then when I'm done getting my drawing this other part of the boat where I want it, then I erase that guide out of the way. And I can erase this guide again. Don't need that in there. Except I was drawing them hard enough so you could see them with my other camera, and they're getting where they won't erase good. But generally speaking, that's what we have. That's all that we need in there. And it's a very nice drawing. It's believable. Put this so I can talk to you instead of talking to my nose. This is believable and will make a very pretty painting when you transfer this drawing. Which again, if you drew this on regular paper, take this paper, put it in a sunny window, just tape it up to the window, to the glass, and then take your watercolor paper and tape it right over the top of it so that you've covered it up. But because the sun's shining through there, you'll be able to see your drawing through, and you can trace this drawing onto your watercolor paper. And in that way, you can use your drawing over and over and over. You can keep tracing it onto a new, fresh piece of watercolor paper and paint it again. I have many versions of this painted because I keep kind of changing up how I've got the trees in the background, or I change up the colors that I put in the reflections in the water, or I make the sky have more clouds and look a little bit more gray so it's more of a stormy, cloudy day. You can play with it that way and really have fun with your painting because you're not stressing over your drawing. You got a good drawing that you yourself made, and then you just trace it onto 10 or 20 pieces of watercolor paper and paint. And you'll probably get, yep.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to say, I beg your pardon. Terry would like to know if you have any additional tips for translating a picture to a much larger surface. I assume she means taking a small picture and making it like, you know, a 5x7 and making it 11x14.
I don't have one in here to show you right now. Actually, I do. They're way in my corner over there, and it's going to knock stuff down to get it over here and show you. But what you do is, because I do this all the time, I draw in my favorite sketchbook is really small. I like details, and I draw small pictures. I don't think I have a boat in this one, but maybe I do. And I don't see a boat, but here's something nice. I just play around drawing, and when I get a good drawing in here, like this, what I would do is I would take this to FedEx. I used to take it to Kinko's. I'm not sure we still have Kinko's. Whatever like that we have out there. And I tell them, I want this thing enlarged, and sometimes you have to tell them the percent, and sometimes they want to know what's the inches. Like I tell them, okay, this thing is whatever this is, 5x5. I want it enlarged to what's the biggest piece of paper you have, and they'll tell you something like it's 36 inches. Okay, I want it 36 by 36, and they'll put it in this special machine they have and print you out a photocopy of your drawing that's really enlarged. And you can do some of this on your own machine at home. I have even worked on things where I take and enlarge it where I get this much on one piece of paper. The biggest piece of paper I have is 11x17, and I'll get this 11x17, and then I'll get this 11x17, and then I'll tape the two together and in fact, that is how I got. This is not one. This is not the right one. Let me switch to my other picture again. This picture right here. There. Okay. There's a lot of stuff in there, if you can see it without the glare. And that's a lot of drawing. That took me about 2 months to get this all drawn. And I have several other pictures along those lines where I've got a whole lot of drawing going on. And let me switch back over here. I've got a whole lot of drawing and time invested in a drawing that is, 6x9, and I want to make a painting that's 24 inches wide, and whatever that translates to, I guess 27 inches wide, and 12 inches high. So I have to enlarge my drawing using the photocopy machine, and it works. And if I can't get it on my home machine, I go to FedEx or Kinko's, and sometimes I have to tell them, enlarge this 400%, please, because it just depends who's working, whether they're going to want to hear a percent or inches. And sometimes I've gone in there and said, I want an enlargement of this enlarged onto the biggest piece of paper you have. And they're going to be confused. What you need to know there is their paper may be 36 inches wide, but it's on a roll, and it can be 12 feet long. So you just tell them whatever's the measurement that you cannot extend any further than that. Fit this to that, and they'll scratch their heads a minute, and then they'll go do it, and they'll charge you $2 or $3. It's not even very expensive, and you'll leave there with a super enlarged thing, which you then take the enlargement of your drawing, and you tape that in your sunny window, and you tape your watercolor paper up over top of it, and you transfer your drawing to your watercolor paper. And there's nothing wrong with doing that. It is your own drawing, your own work, and artists since, I don't know, the Dark Ages, or whenever they quit drawing on cave walls and started drawing on paper, tracing has been a tool that is used. The only time you run into problem is if you're tracing somebody else's work. You don't want to do that. You want to trace your own work to your watercolor paper. And that's how you enlarge to a larger piece. And obviously it works the other way too. If you draw really big and you want to make a painting on a small piece of paper, just reduce your drawing and trace it onto your new paper. So hopefully that answered that question.
Yes, Terry says great ideas. So thank you.
Okay. Anything else? And I'll move the crab out of the way and we'll get the boat back up here in case anybody's got questions.
Well, while we're waiting to see if there's any more questions typed in, for those that came in after my announcement, I just want to tell you all that next week we're going to be watercoloring the sailboat, the man in the sailboat, and that's next Friday, November 13th. And then we're happy to announce that we have 4 more classes with Christine, and I'll be sending out an email, but if you want to put these dates in your calendar, please do. And that's December 4th and 11th. And then again after the holidays, January 8th and January 22. So those are the 4 additional classes, and details on what we'll be doing in those classes will be forthcoming. So anything else, everybody? This was a really great class, and I thank you so much, Christine.
Thank you, Christine.
And thank you, everybody, for being on. It's great to see everybody. Okay, I guess let's see. We've got a couple more questions in the chat. Oh, thank yous. Okay.
Just lots of thank yous.
Yep.
Good.
Thank you, Christine, and everybody. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks to the board, too, for doing this.
Thank you. Okay.
Yes.
See you next week, everybody.
Bye.
Next week.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
All right, I hope you enjoyed that and that you had fun drawing your sailboat and that you'll play around with that, draw lots more boats using that figure 8 over on the side and the tricks that I showed you today. Also, don't forget, if you want to join us for the watercolor painting class that we'll be doing next in this series, look in the description below for the link for how to register for that. You can also go to my website, and there'll be information in the description on how to find my website. But it's just my name, mchristinelandis.com. But you can go there and find links to all of my social media and to the my merchandise sites where you can buy artwork. Merchandise with my artwork on it, like coffee cups and wall tapestries or prints or whatever, and more information about what I'm up to. You can also sign up for my newsletter, which I send out maybe once a month, and I do that manually myself. I don't use any third-party software package or anything like that, so there's no chance of your contact info getting sold to some other person who's then going to hound you about anything. I will never give your email address out to anyone. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you next time.